What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Forest. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Good evening, Hannah.
Good evening. How are you?
I am doing good. You look a little chilly.
No, I'm
Wearing a
just
big old sweatshirt. Yeah. It's funny because I'm actually starting to break out my t-shirts now. It's feeling pretty good.
It's starting to get there. I know at work today, in the office, I was like, it is hot. It is hot in this office. It is so
Oh,
humid. I can't
yeah.
handle this. Because in our household, throughout the year, it is between 65 and 68.
Yeah. No, that's about us too. Mine's about 65 to 70.
Yep.
But yeah.
So it does not go, it can't go to 70 because at 70, I can't sleep.
Oh, 70 is actually still pretty good here. I feel like my house is pretty insulated, was well built, but anyway, it's warming up in Kentucky.
Yes.
Hopefully it's warming up where you guys are. I know some of you are still in the cold weather in the north, but thanks anyway, of course, always to our patrons for tuning in and supporting the show. I've got a lot of comments on the Patreon side that we'll go over today. Get caught up on some of you guys' feedback and things like that to the show. We got a lot to go over today.
Yes.
Because over the time between these two episodes, we had Star Wars Day, so a lot of things dropped. So we'll go over that. First, I was doing Patreon videos throughout the week leading up to Star Wars Day because being on Saturday kind of lend itself to be like a Star Wars week. So each day I was going on there and sharing some Star Wars thoughts. And Friday I did the last one before Star Wars Day because Friday night I went to see the Phantom Menace in the theaters. First time I had seen it in theaters. Well, so I'd seen obviously the when it first came out 25 years ago, which is crazy to think. First time Star Wars got back in theaters since 1983. Well, they re-released the original trilogy in 97, but then brand new Star Wars movie. So, but they did release, I think it might have been 2010 or something like that. They released the Phantom Menace in 3D. So I did that. I remember seeing that. But anyway, first time I took both my daughters went with me. Had a little night out with the girls, and even my wife came, even though Friday nights are not good for her. She fell asleep. Watch because she teaches all week, so it's hard for her to stay up late. But the girls loved it. My oldest Sam was the first time she's seen a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker in the theaters, and she was excited. She liked that a lot. In fact, yeah, she went and saw Rise of Skywalker. But anyway, she had not seen the Phantom Menace in a couple years, so she kind of forgot. Being when she saw it, she was like maybe 11 or so. So seeing it in the theater was really cool for her because she kind of was really, you could tell she was really into the story and the whole thing with Obi-Wan and Padme and all that stuff. But it was good. It held up pretty well, being a 25-year-old movie. It wasn't bad.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen so many posts of people saying this is the best way to watch the Phantom Menace in the movie theater.
Yes. I see a lot of people posting and taking their kids,
And there's just something about seeing Darth Maul activate that second blade on his lightsaber in a movie theater that is just...
Yes. Yeah, just the beginning with the Star Wars logo popping up, and it's just the feels, man. I cannot explain the feeling you have of watching a Star Wars film in a theater. Can't wait for the next one. Can't wait for the new one. So that was good. And then of course we woke up on Saturday for Star Wars Day. Now I mentioned, on the last episode that in Kentucky, it's a different holiday. On the first Saturday of every May, it's Kentucky Derby Day. So we had a lot of family over like we normally do, but we had Star Wars themes going on. Like I had in the living room, I had the TV on just playing the movies. So I had Star Wars going on. You'll appreciate this because I think this might make you a little jealous, Hannah. So of course, Brooke, she's a cooker. She cooks a lot of stuff. So and a treat maker. So she makes these, and I think I've brought them into work before. I don't know if you had them, but she makes the pretzel rods with the blue, white chocolate dyed blue and white chocolate dyed red. So she makes these pretzel sabers, which are really good. But this year she tried, and I'm telling you, she pulled it off. She made Ronto wraps.
Nice.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my gosh, it's only one of the best food items you can get at Hollywood Studios. I mean, and that's a huge sandwich too. You could split that with somebody.
Oh, totally.
Whoa. So did she get like the right sausage, and she roasted some ham or pork tenderloin, and then did a nice spicy slaw?
So the pork is the only thing that wasn't on there.
Okay.
It was just the sausage link, the slaw, in a wrap, in a kind of pita, not a pita, but it's like a flatbread wrap almost.
Yeah, it's almost like non-consistency, but it's not.
Yeah, it's, oh my gosh, so good though.
So good.
Man, I mean, they were gone. And she made like 12 of them, and they were gone in an instant.
Oh, I
people
bet.
Came in and were like just killing it. And so if anybody hasn't gone, when you go to Galaxy's Edge, got to go to one of the restaurants and get a Ronto wrap. It is to die for. It is so good.
Docking Bay 7, you have to. It is so good.
7.
I mean, I'm gluten-free, so I just don't have the wrap, but I split it with somebody. I'm like, you can have the rest of the wrap. I just want that delicious pork, sausage, and slaw and sauce. Yes. I don't know what they put in it, but it's so good.
Yeah, she found the recipe, but next time she said she's gonna obviously try with the pork, get the pork in there too, and it's so good. It's so good,
delicious.
Yeah. So anyway, Star Wars Day was great.
Aww.
And how was yours?
So over the weekend, it's a fun series of days because it's my dad's birthday and my mom's birthday. Their birthdays are very close to each other, so we celebrate them together. So I did that over the weekend versus anything Star Wars related. Yeah. Did blare the Star Wars theme song in the house, but the rest was just focusing on celebrating their birthdays. So nice. Not too much of a celebration on this end, but still have fun. And when I got home, binged watched Tales of the Empire.
That's right. Yeah, I woke up and we had so much to do around the house. So my daughter kept asking, "When are we watching Tales? When are we watching Tales?" Like we'll get to it. So we actually didn't get to it till everybody left after the Derby. So it was that night. So we did watch it.
Yeah, we were in Pennsylvania. So I was like, we escaped Derby Day because not that I'm not a fan of the Derby. The rowdiness is so much and the crowds are so much that I'm like, I'd rather not. I'd rather be in the comfort of my home or whatever. And we were out at this really, really nice restaurant. And all of a sudden we hear all of this cheering. And we look over at the bar and everybody at this nice bar, everybody is crowded around it watching the final race.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I guess I didn't escape it.
No. It's a big deal everywhere.
It is.
I mean, it's amazing how massive the Derby has gotten.
But that was quite a final finish. That was insane.
Yeah, no, it was. Good race.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah. So of course on Star Wars Day, and we've mentioned this several times, that it's only natural that Lucasfilm should put out something new every Star Wars Day.
Yes.
Now, of course, we knew we were getting Tales of the Empire for a long time.
But what we didn't know
is we got what?
Acolyte trailer.
We got a brand new Acolyte trailer and a poster.
Yes.
And a lot more clarity, I think, on what this thing is going to introduce to us. So, trailer-wise, did you find out when I texted it to you?
Yeah, that's when I knew, because once again, I was I was really out of my phone, out of my computer. I was spending time with the family that I didn't know until you texted me, and I was like, and I immediately was like, Audrey, you gotta look at this, because my sister and my husband, but he wasn't with us at the time, are very excited for the Acolyte as well. So I didn't know it dropped until you texted it to me.
Yes. So what did you think?
So I think there's a misdirection. I think we are led to believe that the Acolyte, because it's made pretty clear by the main Jedi that he had a Padawan and he wants to help her. And it's pretty much, you're left to assume that the one assassinating these Jedi is his former Padawan. And normally that's when people are like, oh, so that's the Acolyte. And I know Marok is just Marok, but I think that's meant to be as a misdirect. I think the Acolyte's going to go a lot deeper than that. We do know that the assassin is Force sensitive, because we saw them use the Force to grab one of the... Why they're not using a lightsaber is a very interesting choice. So it'll be interesting to learn more about that. It looks like we have some dark magic as well happening in this. And I don't know what else to think of it. I don't think this trailer necessarily revealed too much, which is what a trailer should do. It should just kind of tease you.
Right.
But I'm excited. It looks like it's going to be very interesting, a very different story than what we're used to. I just can't. This month needs to fly by fast so we can get to June 4th sooner. That's all I got to say.
Right. Yeah.
The trailer just left me very, very excited for what we're going to be getting.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it wasn't too revealing. So here's the thing: is what I failed to mention too is at the end of the Phantom Menace, they played a special look at the Acolyte.
Yes, I was actually just about to ask you after you talked about the trailer. I was going to say, and didn't you get a secret? So what did you see? Can you share what you saw?
Yeah, of course. So what they did was that scene where you see Carrie-Anne Moss's character, which is Indara, Jedi Master Indara. She gets approached by this assassin and they're fighting. They showed that whole fight scene.
Is it as amazing as we all dreamed it would be?
It's pretty awesome. Now, so what's amazing about it is to be honest, I go back and think, and I'm trying to think of like all the times we've seen Jedi fighting in hand-to-hand combat, which we don't ever see.
It's pretty rare.
If you really think about it. Yeah, if you really think about it, especially in live action. Like, I don't know, it's hard to even think about times where you see them fight hand-to-hand combat. In the Clone Wars, of course, I think it's happened a few times. Someone might lose their saber and they have to like fight, but they're not fighting like kung fu style. And this, it kind of looked like The Matrix is what it looked like. You think about, Carrie-Anne Moss, it was perfect for her to be in this role. And it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. So, I mean, it is no wasting time. Like this assassin, May, she walks in this place and immediately just starts fighting everybody. And, it kind of goes upstairs and, it's, and the whole time, Indara, she's not even pulling her lightsaber out. She's, again, they're fighting hand to hand. And then, of course, May starts pulling weapons out, and then Indara pulls her saber out. So, but then it just skips to the kind of the trailer that we already had seen, not this new trailer, right? So the new trailer doesn't have, that whole scene in it. So that was an exclusive thing for people going to see the Phantom Menace. You can see that fight scene.
I think that shows just a whole different era of the Jedi, though. The fact that they want peace so bad that they won't escalate a fight. They won't pull out their saber unless it's necessary.
Yep.
And I think that is so powerful. Also, thinking about the last time we saw Jedi hand-to-hand combat, I think would be Obi-Wan versus Grievous.
Right. And see, that wasn't anything like a choreographed kind of like martial arts fight, right?
Except when he kicked his shin and went, ah!
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't do anything. But, even I think, I just started thinking, I'm like, I don't remember them ever having any kind of hand-to-hand combat with anybody.
But what a powerful message that sends.
Yes, it is. But like you said, wondering why May doesn't have a saber is interesting. Now, one thing, did you see the poster?
I did.
So one thing I'm a little confused about with the poster is that I believe you see, let me go there. I didn't even talk about the trailer. Let me say what I think about the trailer first. So the trailer, like I said, really good. I agree with you. It didn't really show us much. I think you're right. I think there's definitely some misdirection. And I go back to, we know that Leslie Healand, who is the showrunner, said, whatever you think the Acolyte is, it's not. So I'm still on the side of the fence that is still believing that the Acolyte is actually a Jedi that's going to turn. So one of those characters, maybe it's Master. I can't remember his name. The guy who plays from Squid Games.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some twists, a little more twists in here. Might not be, it might not be anything more than what we're thinking about, like Morocco or something like that. But it's going to be something. There's going to be something. I think because this is a mystery, they're trying to find the assassin, which I think we're kind of led to believe who the assassin is. Maybe it's that obvious. I don't know. But there's still this dark warrior that we don't know who it is, right?
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of reveals there, I think. So there's that. So anyway, going to the poster now, because I thought what was a little confusing for me, when you look at the poster, there's in the background where you see, what I think is May, right? The character that we've seen, the young lady that's fighting like Jedi Master Endara.
Yeah.
You see, I'm assuming, to me, in a way, it looks like that's her without a mask and with a mask.
I think that is.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
But that is very odd to me that you put the same character on there twice. Like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen where you put, on a poster, you put the same person twice, one in a mask and without a mask.
I thought that was weird too. Like maybe that's her twin sister.
So that's exactly what I just was thinking. Like, is that two people?
It could be.
Is that two different people?
The other face is a little more hidden, so you can't really tell. Like it's in the shadows.
Yes. Like that is so odd to me. You would put the same person like prominent like that, not just like, in small form and like the other people are, but they're prominent part of the poster, and all that seems to be different is the mask. I was kind of watching the trailer again, and I was kind of seeing if it was maybe any kind of slight different outfits or anything, but I'm starting to agree with you. I think they might be twins.
Yeah, you might be dealing with twins, and they might be dealing with the whole. Maybe they're taking inspiration from the whole bond that Jason and Jaina had in the extended universe or expanded universe.
Yes.
Yeah. They could be. I don't know. Or it could be that that's meant also to be a misdirect because it's like you're seeing two sides of one person.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's maybe she was good and now she's bad. I mean, I guess it could be the same person. It's just odd that
It is.
that you would do that on a poster, but it could be, again, this is Morocco territory, maybe. It's like maybe I'm reading into it too much. But I found as soon as I saw that poster, I was like, that is kind of weird to see.
It is odd.
You would think that would be maybe, that would be Jedi Master Endora, that you would make big prominent like that if she's a major character because she's the top side there. But anyway, or the masked version of the Sith, I guess that's the Dark Warrior. You'd make him maybe the back character there. So anyway, that was strange to me. So we'll see what that means. But overall, yeah, I am stoked about this show. I cannot wait. We get 2 episodes on June the 4th. I think it's easily my most anticipated show. I looked forward so much to Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, but this one, I'm pumped.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh heck yeah.
Heck yeah. So everybody, let us know what you think about that. I think everybody's kind of we'll go some comments. I think that they mentioned about the trailer a little bit, so we'll read those here soon. But lots to look forward to there. We got just a few more weeks, but a little bit of before we get into tales, just a little side note on a couple pieces of news. I forgot to mention Phantom Menace. It looks like it did about almost 9 million in the box office this weekend.
Not bad.
Not bad. I think it moved it back into the top 50 highest grossing films of all time. So good for them on that. Skeleton Crew, the director / showrunner, John Watts, apparently has come out in some interviews and has mentioned that we can expect Skeleton Crew during the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
So no official air date, but something we anticipated and talked about. So it sounds like holiday season, somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas is what we can expect. I would say early December. So that would mean that with the Acolyte debuting on June 4th, which is a Tuesday, just to remind everybody, June 4th is a Tuesday, so that we may be getting Acolyte, Tuesday nights instead of, middle of the night on Wednesday, right? So if we're getting a 2 premiere on Tuesday, the 4th, then you got episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're the finale of that, because it's 8 episodes, is July 16th. And so we've already gotten Tales of the Jedi, or Tales of the Empire, which we thought maybe would come after this series. So now we're going to have a gap between July 16th to the holiday season, right? So you're talking August, September, October, probably 3 to 4 months. That's a little tough. You think?
I don't know.
Or you want this break?
Gives us a time to catch up on so much.
Well, it does. Yeah. We can read some comics and read some books again.
Yes.
Maybe. But I think that's a pretty decent gap. I thought maybe Tales of the Empire would come a little later, to kind of fill in that gap. And maybe we are going to get something in between. There might be like some special or some Lego movie or something like that they might put out there. But
I'm sure there's going to be something.
Yeah.
The Star Wars version of Bluey.
Oh. I think everybody wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. With some catch up on some news there. And let's talk about, well, first off, just to remind everybody some releases here on the comics stuff. Darth Vader and the High Republic #7 came out this week. Next week, Mace Windu #4. And then May 22nd, you got Star Wars 64. So a little light on the comic series now. Some of them ended. I think there's going to be a bunch kicking off this summer. So more to come there. Tales of the Empire. Okay, so Tales of the Empire. 2 stories. We got Morgan, Elsbeth, and then, of course, Barriss, former Jedi Barriss Offee. Now, what was kind of weird with Tales of the Jedi, we got 1 episode first of Ahsoka, and then it was like 3 Dooku ones, and then 2 more Ahsokas, right? This one was 3 and 3. We had 3 of Morgan, 3 of Barriss. So let's talk about Morgan first. What did you think about those 3 episodes?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It was interesting to see where she came from. It was very interesting to see the planet of Dathomir being destroyed. And it was interesting to see how she fell into I literally blanked out on his name. Thrawn. Came into literally Thane was coming to my head, and I'm like, that's not his name.
Oh, yeah.
Thrawn came into Thrawn's good graces. I don't know. I feel like, so I know we're telling 2 stories about revenge and what do you do with revenge. Mm-hmm. And for me, I feel like Morgan's fell flat. I didn't really feel like there was a lot at stake. I didn't enjoy it as much. Did I think it was cool that we got a little more context into where she's coming from? Absolutely. But I think I would have liked to have seen the episode, like the first episode was really, really good. I did like that. But I think instead of like all of a sudden she's in power, I would have loved to have seen the episode where she influenced her way to power.
Right.
You know, so it's like, it's kind of things like that. And it sets up to where we know Ahsoka finds her. I don't know, like, I don't know how I feel about Morgan's, if that makes sense. Like, there were parts of it I liked, and other parts of it I'm like, Mm-hmm. I definitely think between the 2, it was the weaker one of the 2.
For sure.
What are your thoughts? I'm a little discombobulated with it.
No, I think after watching it, basically my first reaction was, to be honest, it was like, did I really need to know that?
Yes, that is exactly it. That is exactly it. You know, what purpose did this fill?
Yeah, it didn't really check any boxes for me, you know, as far as like any mysteries of Morgan and where. I mean, it is nice to know a little bit about where she came from. Obviously, that, you know, Dathomir, and seeing this other, you know, these other clans that are there. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like we learned so much about Dathomir with Jedi Fallen Order, you know, and kind of seeing this side of it and these different, all the hills. You go up on the hills in that game, and you know, you're kind of working the puzzles and things like that it has in that game. But yeah, I get it. You kind of get the sense of why she's angry, you know, why she wants to have revenge. why she seeks revenge. I think that, yeah, again, it's like how she ends up where she ends up. Yeah, it's just, I don't know if it really didn't do anything for me, really.
Agreed.
I like her. It's not a character really that I'm drawn to right now. You know, and one thing I was really confused why they didn't show is why couldn't they tell us how she got the Beskar spear?
Yes.
She kind of just showed up with it.
It was basically all the parts we didn't see were the parts I wanted to see.
Right. Yeah. Because that was the big thing when we first see her going against Ahsoka. It's like, where did she get this Beskar spear?
Yes.
You know, that would have been. I'm more interested in that origin story, I think, than her.
Seriously.
But look, you definitely can't knock the quality of the way this thing looks. I mean, it looks fantastic. No. You know, her fighting Grievous was great, and seeing Grievous was pretty neat. And I tell you what, that is Thrawn. Like, that's the way Thrawn looks.
Yes.
You know, very good. And yeah, again, it was easy to watch and then easily to move on. So
very much so.
Now Barriss.
Oh,
that's a different story.
Entirely different story. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I needed this story. So, let's talk about those three. What do you think?
Well, our Patreons will know that I was in absolute tears at the end of Barriss's story. What a twist we didn't see coming.
Yes.
And I love it for her so much. And we still see some of the torture that people who become Inquisitors go through. I don't think it was severe because she is one of the first, so it didn't have to be as severe, and she was already influenced that the Jedi were bad. And I like at the end too that sure she calls herself a Jedi, but she's like, well, there's one more, and she stands up against Lynn. And I think I audibly gasped because I thought that was such a great moment. But I think it's like she found her own way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she still doesn't really believe in the Jedi, but she knows that what the Inquisitors are doing is wrong as well.
Yes.
And my favorite line in the entire thing is, your anger makes you predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And how it's such a total opposite of what the Grand Inquisitor said in the beginning. Like, oh, it's just so good. Mm-hmm. And talk about a redemption story, and there's no way out. No, there's a way out, but you gotta know, like, you have to be willing to kind of just do it. There's one way out, and you know it. And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Mm-hmm. It was.
And,
yes.
And she might have survived at the end. We don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's possible. I think it kind of showed her not breathing, you know, again, because it had the cold air kind of coming out, and then
but I think it was there very faintly. I think it was faint. Yeah. But what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think this was the one that I really looked forward to the most, because it's been a mystery what happened to Barriss since the end of Clone Wars Season 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what's interesting about this, though, is I feel like it was actually less about the Empire and more about the Jedi in this.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it could have been a Season 2 of Tales of the Jedi, right? Because I thought, you know, my thought process was when I saw the trailer, especially that scene where, you know, she's bowing down to Vader walking in, I thought this was going to be a dark story in her character. And, you know, honestly, my thought went to, well, we're going to see her become an Inquisitor, and she's going to go out there and fight Jedi and possibly come across Ahsoka.
That's what I thought too, especially with the description of the last episode. Barriss comes across a familiar foe.
Correct.
I mean, it was like, we're going to get the showdown between her and Ahsoka. This is it.
I know. And I kind of really wanted it. But, they still brought in a familiar character. We got the fourth sister from Obi-Wan Kenobi, if people remember her. So in that sense, it was a little different. I was surprised that she, turned back to the light in a sense. And didn't and it's not that she was fully a dark side person. She was, prior to this Inquisitor thing, she was more of a brainwashed, radical kind of thing, right? So, so this was obviously she was easily manipulated in becoming an Inquisitor, but overall, no, the journey that she went through in this was surprising, but very, 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 very good.
I'm not gonna lie though, I was secretly hoping when I first heard it was Tales of the Empire and I saw it was Morgan and Barriss, I was like, maybe we get a scene where Barriss dies and then Morgan brings her back to life and names her Marok.
Well, we talked about that.
We did. Actually, hang on. Marok. Ahsoka. I just want to take a look at Marok's outfit again because it is sort of familiar to Barriss's a little bit.
Well, Marok is in this.
Marok is in this, but I'm not gonna lie. Before we saw the trailer for it, and I just heard what it was, I was like,
totally.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, no, totally. And that was one of the theories we had that Marok may have been Barriss.
Yeah.
Which would have been a killer twist, but that was before we even knew she was even an Inquisitor.
Yeah, that's true. We had no idea.
So we were kind of on the right track.
Sure, we were 30% on the track.
Right. I think overall though, I think these are very good. They're well done. They're obviously in the vein of Clone Wars, kind of animation and work, but yeah, I think we're going to obviously get more of these. Now next is probably going to be possibly Tales of the Sith or Tales of the Bounty Hunters or something like that.
Something like that. It's two stories of two women who both want revenge, and what do you do with that? Like, that's clearly the parallel between these two. And I know that Morgan, like, it was like, I don't really know if I needed to know that story. I don't feel like I took away that much. But I'm racking my brain about, especially if you want to stick within the theme of an empire, because technically Barriss never went Sith. So it would have to be Empire. What other Empire story would you use that focused around revenge?
Oh, focused on revenge. Ooh,
like, what other story could you tell?
Yeah, let me think about that one, because, you know more about his story than I do because I'm not all the way through the books, but I don't know if Thrawn would have been anything.
He's not really on revenge.
Yeah, neither is Tarkin. You could have picked, you probably could have made a story out of like Tarkin or
Sloane.
Sloane. Is she on a revenge kick?
Is she?
I don't think so.
No, you're right. She's more just power hungry.
But you could have pulled any one of those officers, like Mahdi or General Tag, or any of those guys that we don't really know that much about, and use them. But I don't know how interesting that would have been.
That's true, because we don't really know them, and at least with her, there's some emotional investment.
Yeah.
But I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is I don't know who else you could have used to parallel Barriss' story.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either off the top of my head. I think it'd have to be probably a newer character or somebody we just only us nerds would know if we, deep dive from a novel or something like that. Yeah, but that's interesting. That's true. Yeah, because that means I don't even know how they would do a second season with this. Who would you even do?
I think you're right. I think it's going to be Tales of the Sith, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales of the Droids, Tales of the...
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be more different factions moving
Tales
forward.
of the Republic.
You definitely could do that, yep.
Tales of the New Republic. I mean, there are so many different ones you can go.
Yep.
Tales of the High Republic, Tales of the Old Republic.
Yes.
Tales of the Jedi Academy, Tales of the Sith Academy. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on.
And on. But overall, these are really good. I wish they can, I wish they would do more of these quicker. But.
Yes.
Okay, that's our thoughts. Let us know what you thought, and let's see if anybody said anything on some comments here.
Speaking of, tell us what you thought.
Yeah, let me go back to, and forgive me if I have already read some of these off, but I don't think. I'll start with my Star Wars Day comments. Oh, let's see. Nope, that's not a comment. Sorry, bear with me. Let's see. Comments. Okay, here's one. Let's see. This was I think this was day 2. This was after the Star Wars, I guess the Bad Batch finale or whatever. Brandon says it was great while it lasted. Drawn Addict just finished it. Great episode. Looking forward to spoiler review and thoughts. So this is before our episode, right?
Right.
That we did final review. Brandon said, I think Omega is going to force tame the Zilla Beast, and that's how they would destroy the facility and escape. So force tame is interesting. That didn't really happen, but that would have been a good thing to show. But it doesn't look like Omega. They're making her anything force sensitive or anything.
I mean, but that would have been a great call to back when Ventress did that.
True. Yes. Very true. Brandon also says this. He says, am I dumb, or does Echo's name mean that he can mimic different voices and droids? I don't recall anything like that.
I don't recall anything like that too, but that doesn't mean he can't do it.
Absolutely. And Brandon, I don't know if you're calling out something specific, but I just don't remember him ever doing something like that. But could be wrong. Could definitely be wrong about that. Let's see. Darth S. Well, Brandon first commented on my next video, said, I loved it. The fellas and Omega got to walk away mostly intact and happy. I was getting misty-eyed. I said that it ended. I'm sad that it ended, but I'm glad it happened. It's a very melancholy moment. And then Darth S&M came on and said, yes, loved it. Was that sword-wielding agent tech? They sure made a point to show the goggles in his helmet, but then he just got his head smashed. So maybe not. Seemed unceremonious if it was. Loved that they gave us a look at the older Omega. So happy they didn't have to kill off any more of the batch. I may actually do a feedback for this one and send it to Martin. Just haven't felt the need with the last few episodes. Y'all take care of it just fine. So yeah, I think those clone troopers ended up just being Clone X.
Marok is just Marok.
Yeah, it's just Marok. I got to make that t-shirt.
We do have to make.
Yeah. Let's see. On next one, Brandon says, I'm seeing Phantom Menace tomorrow. I'm excited. Great. on your finale reaction.
Okay.
Brandon says it was my favorite Star Wars show / movie. During that jump from when they got back to Pabu to when Omega was leaving to join the Rebel Alliance, I hope Omega got to be a kid. And then Darth S&M says, I agree, best season. But don't worry, Hannah. Soon Dave will read Rise of the Red Blade and we can finally talk about it. Yeah, I will get on that. I promise.
It's amazing.
I know. All right. My last video of the week. Brandon says, don't worry, Dave. I haven't read Red Blade yet. I'm currently reading Aftermath, Life Debt, and Thrawn Ascension.
Okay.
Well, I think it's Thrawn Ascendancy, right?
Right.
Awesome books. Yes, those are good.
They're great.
Keep going with the Aftermath. They're really, really good.
I still think Aftermath, Life, Death is my favorite of the trilogy, though.
Life Debt, yeah. Yeah, I agree. No, that one's really good. And then, let's see, S&M came back and said, Hannah looked like she needed a win. I will be episode 1 this week sometime after work, hopefully. Gotta have to watch the episode of the Clone Wars again. It is funny that his name is the one we don't remember the story behind. As to the age question, Hunter didn't look as bad as the age would make us believe. He must have been eating clean and living his best life and using the Star Wars version of Just for Men.
Yes, he was using a moisturizer every single day.
Yes.
That is true. I was like, age well.
Yeah. I think he still looked old. I feel like he was moving slow and...
Oh, he was. He had a slight limp, but it also could be because you got to keep in mind they probably still kept in really good shape.
I would think so.
And keeping yourself in good shape is going to help the aging process slow down a bit. So could be.
Then another comment from Brandon. He says, I'm listening to the Mandalore podcast. Martin and you, Dave, are talking about Omega getting called Havoc 5. And I have a question about that. Wouldn't Omega be called Havoc 6 since she was the 6th member? There's Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, Tech, and Crosshair. So why was she called Havoc 5? I don't know. That was one of those things where, did you notice that?
No, I didn't. But isn't it technically because... Tech was a part of... No, Echo was a... That's a really good question. Why was she 5?
I don't know. I think it's possible that they moved her once Crosshair left.
Yeah.
She kind of moved in as Havoc 5. They just kind of redid their call signs. Because you remember her and Crosshair weren't there at the same time.
That's true.
Right? There was always only 5 of them. So they must have moved call signs, I think. And now just because we talked about this in the Mandalore podcast, where does Havoc even come from? Because that's the first time we've heard them say that to each other. Well, apparently when the Bad Batch was going to be introduced in the Clone Wars, which was one of those unfinished, story arcs called the Crystal Crisis or something like that. The Marauder that their ship is, it was actually called the Havoc Marauder. And that's why they were call signed Havoc 1, Havoc 2, Havoc 3. So, but when this series came out, they never gave it the Havoc Marauder. It's just the Marauder.
Right.
And they never called each other Havocs until this episode for some reason, the very end. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? So
yeah,
that's what everybody's kind of saying is that's where it comes from. So I think she's Havoc 5 just because Crosshair wasn't there when she kind of came into the group and they reassigned it.
Yes.
All right, so let's go to YouTube. We got some comments there on YouTube. Everybody that's watched our last episode. Let's see, our last episode was talking about the finale. Let's go back to JoJo came on here and says, I would love to have Omega in Skeleton Crew. Amazing theory. Hope it comes true. Okay, now here's my theory about that real quick.
Yes, go.
I don't think you haven't heard it yet.
No.
I like the Skeleton Crew one because that is going to be the next series after Acolyte. The only thing I don't like about that is that she would actually be pretty older at that point. Because Omega, by the end before the time jump, she's probably 14, maybe 15. Probably 14. So I think this was a big thought process I had too. When is that scene with her and Hunter at the end? Is it only? It feels like, again, since Hunter to me seemed older, and the fact that she says, I'm joining the rebellion, they need pilots more than ever. Because you got to think about, I think we got to think about, well, when did people start really knowing about the rebellion?
Right.
And when you get to the beginning of Rebels, which is 5 years before episode 4.
Yes.
There were pockets of rebellion, but not a rebellion.
No, there wasn't a rebellion.
Right? There were people fighting back. They were just unorganized. There wasn't a unified alliance like what they became towards the end of Rebels. So then you go, Andor's in there too, and Rogue One. And it's like there's still not a by Rogue One they had just formed the alliance, right? So. And you got to think about it. Remember, Rogue One, like it was in the crawl of episode 4, it says they won their first battle. That Battle of Scarif was the first true battle between the Empire and the Rebellion.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know if you think, I think that's when Omega is saying this.
I think so too.
Okay.
No,
So
I believe that.
Okay, so if that's the case, then she is. So that's about 17 years since the end of where they escaped Tantus. Because I think there's 19 years between episode 3 and episode 4.
But there's no way.
So that would make her about 30 years old in that scene.
She doesn't look 30 though.
I think she could pass as 30. But
mid-20s maybe.
But see, that's the thing, is that if she's saying, and she does say, I'm not a kid anymore, and I get that. If she's saying that when she's like 20, then only 7 years have gone by, and Hunter doesn't look like that then if it's 7 years, because to him it'll only be about 14 years, right. And he would be in his 30s still. Like, he would be still look like Hunter, I think,
Okay. So if that's the case, how old does that make her for Skeleton Crew if she's 30? Let's say she's 30.
If she's 30, well, she is 30 by the time episode 4 comes around. It's whether or not this scene is that, right? So she's 30 at episode 4. That means she's 34 in episode 6. Mandalorian starts 5 years later than that, so that means she's 39, pushing 40. So we're probably 3 or 4 years into this universe, Mandoverse, by the time Skeleton Crew happens. So she's kind of mid 40s. That's not terrible. No, that's not. What you had posted to me about the possibility of this actress being Omega. I don't know if she's necessarily looks 45, but somebody could be her in Skeleton Crew for sure.
Yes.
Here's my theory of when
what
we're
is
going
your
to see
theory?
her. So I'm still on the side that scene is shortly before episode 4 or during maybe Rogue One. But I could be wrong, because I just have a hard time thinking that she knows about the rebellion and pilots, when around the Obi-Wan time, because the Obi-Wan time there's still not a rebellion truly going on, right?
Right.
So if that scene is roughly around the episode 4 time, I think she's going to show up in Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron.
Now there's a thought.
If she wanted to be a pilot, that movie is all about pilots.
That's a thought.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay.
So I think she's going to be another one that makes the jump to live action in that sense.
That is a thought.
Yeah, because I think Patty Jenkins' movie is going to take place during the original trilogy.
Okay.
Rogue Squadron sometime. So anyway, that's my theory about that.
Huh. I guess we'll wait and see.
We will see. JoJo goes on and says, every time I rewatch the last scene, it made me tear up. The beauty of peace and freedom and the trauma of having lost Tech, along with all the hardship and adversity, made the finale bittersweet. And then they say, Omega getting re-involved in Project Necromancer in the New Republic era would be a tragedy for her character. Would be tragic for her character, especially because we know she won't be able to stop it. Palpatine will succeed in the cloning. Yeah, I don't know how that pans out. That's interesting for sure. Thrawn Addict says, I watch Bluey with my kids and feel I am more invested in it than them.
That's a true statement. That is so true.
Are you an avid Bluey watcher?
I've seen clips here and there. I haven't actually. No, I've sat down and I've watched some episodes. I love Bluey.
Oh, Bluey's great. Bluey's great. I have grown. I was so against Bluey for a longest time. Like, this is a kid's show. I'm not going to watch it. But I've watched a couple episodes just because I was in the same room as my daughter's watching it. It's like, man, this actually is really good.
It's really good. I mean, for me, I kind of lost that illusion ever since Phineas and Ferb came out.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, these are...
Phineas and Ferb was really good, too.
Oh, yeah, they're coming back.
Oh, wow. I really liked Phineas and Ferb, too.
They're coming back with more Phineas and Ferb. I'm so excited.
That's great. Thrawn says, happy 4th, May the 4th, and hope you both have a great day and get to celebrate Star Wars a little bit. I'm going to the beach with the family, so we'll pretend to be on Scarif for the day and then hoping to get home in time to binge watch Tales of the Empire.
Please tell me you said, I don't like sand.
No, he didn't. He says the Bad Batch finale was not what I expected. Really didn't think they would all survive and go back to Babu, where the Empire found its location in previous episodes. So would have thought they wouldn't have been a safe place to go. That said, I loved what we got. Action was intense, and that bridge scene at the end was movie grade good.
Oh.
I liked that Rampart didn't get redemption and stayed true to his villainous ways. I'm also relieved that Tech wasn't revealed to be one of the special operatives, as that would have felt rushed. I loved Omega throughout the season. It was great to see how far she had come from season 1. The ending was beautiful and really made sense. Omega would join the rebellion, as she was always about fighting the bigger fight. Look forward to seeing where she pops up next. Will we never know the plan of Necromancer? True. Very true.
It's very, very true. I mean, they could be pulling shoot, what's his name? Moffat? Is his name Moffat? The guy who wrote Sherlock, the BBC version with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, I don't know.
So it's theorized that we never really know how Sherlock survives the fall of Reichstag. Because he survives it, but we never know.
Yeah.
Even though a bunch of theories are posed. And the running joke amongst Sherlock fans was he didn't know either. The writer didn't know either. He was just waiting for everybody to share all of their theories on Reddit, and then he was going to pick one and say, yeah, that's how it happened. But at the end of the day, like, you don't know how he survived. So it could just be that. We don't know what Necromancer is.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously have I think everybody has a strong feeling that it's something about Palpatine's cloning, but we just haven't been told straight up.
I mean, for Pete's sake, it's called Necromancer.
Yeah.
Like, come up with something a little more creative, y'all. Like Stardust, that's pretty creative.
True.
Necromancer, you couldn't make it any clearer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay, I think for some reason I feel like I answered this. I might have answered this on the Patreon a video I did, but maybe I don't think you've heard this. But anyway, Thrawn asks a quick question to you both: how does the aging work for clones? Because I thought clones had accelerated growth so that they age quicker, but in the last scene, it looks like Hunter has aged normally, and Rex and Rebels seems to have aged normally. I know Omega and Boba were unaltered clones, but what about the others? Do they age normally after a certain age? So I think I responded to this, and I'll let you answer. But the thing about it is he mentions Rex in. It looks like Rex and Hunter aged normally. I don't believe so. I think they looked a lot older. Now, if you think about it, if they age, the theory, at least what we've read in these encyclopedias, is that they technically age twice as fast. So by the time you get to episode 2, where Boba is 10 years old, the clones, all the other clones that are fighting are 20 years old, right? So they're double the age. So by the time we're getting to the end of the Bad Batch before the jump, that's about 4 or 5 years later. So it's about 10 years later. So they're about 30 at that point. So if you fast forward to the beginning of Rebels, which is about 14 years after that, right? 5 years for episode 4, that's close to 30 years. So now you're looking, Rex in Rebels is roughly about 59, 60 years old, which to me, he looks that. He's a lot bigger. He's got the big beard, right? And if we're placing that last scene even a little bit after that, that means Hunter is in his 60s, which to me, that's what he looks like. I think he looks like he's in his 60s.
But here's the thing, and this is something we have to keep in mind, and this might mess up with some of the ages, is that Omega is technically older.
She is. So you're right.
So that means at the beginning of the Bad Batch, they have to, let's say in the beginning of the Bad Batch, she's 12.
Yes. Yes, she's about 13 years old when the Bad Batch, when episode 3 happens. You're right.
But yeah, like I'm talking about season 1, Bad Batch,
which is at the end of the end of episode 3. Yes. Yeah. And start of Bad Batch. She's 13 years old.
So that means that they have to be in their early 20s.
You're right. That's exactly right.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
Yes. And so, I think, so to answer Thrawn, I think they look older at that point. I think they are, and so they do age. They definitely age. That's why now in the Mandoverse, you're not going to see any of them.
You're not. They're going to be gone.
They're pretty much 80 or so if they survive by then. They're pretty much aged out by then. So yeah. So that's that. I think that's the answer. Let's see. We got Dan Sci-Fi, which I don't think we got a comment from him before. This was on our episode 3 commentary.
Oh.
And so Dan says, the Jedi during the prequels lost their true way, and they got too dogmatic in their ideals, and they were too involved in the galactic politics. And Palpatine manipulated the entire order as well as Anakin and the political system on Coruscant, only solidifying the Jedi's involvement in politics and their downfall at the hands of Anakin during Order 66. Also, the Jedi Order were a separate faction to the Republic, and both the Republic and the Jedi Order worked together since they were united as one point before the prequels. But the Jedi ultimately answered to the Council and themselves, where any Republic politician has no authority or power to make any move like Palpatine tried to do with the Jedi. And the Council only elects their own members to be the Jedi Council, just like the Padawans get granted to face the trials by the Council and the assistance of the Padawan's Jedi Master. Yes, that's all true.
Yes.
All true. It says, fun fact about the rise of Skywalker. When Anakin and Padme were fun fact on Revenge of the Sith, not Rise of Skywalker. Revenge of the Sith. When Anakin and Padme were talking on Mustafar, as soon as Obi-Wan appeared, Anakin jumped to the quick conclusion that Padme and Obi-Wan were having an affair due to the Obi-Wan visiting Padme a few times during the film off screen, and Padme mentioned Obi-Wan a lot during the conversations on Mustafar. And so another big part of Anakin's dark side power during the Mustafar duel was the betrayal and hatred for Obi-Wan of that affair that Anakin came to a conclusion in his head, even though Anakin turned his master and his wife against him. And that shows that at that point in the film, that Anakin was fully gone and lost to the dark side, clouded and corrupting his judgment.
Yep.
Yeah, very true. Very true. He says, P.S. Darth Plagueis died in 32 BBY during or just before the Phantom Menace. That is true in Legends.
Yes. We don't know if that's true for this canon.
That's right. We do not know.
Just like the same way we don't know if the story of Darth Revan, as we know it from the older Knights, or from the Knights of the Old Republic games, is canon anymore.
That's right.
It should be. Such a great story. Should be. Don't touch it. It's a good story.
Yes. Let's see. Darth S&M on our last episode said they did tell us what Omega's importance was. Her blood is what is needed to help bind clone blood with Force-sensitive beings' blood. Yes, true. They did tell us that. But they didn't tell us what necromancer is.
Yeah. They gave us that, but it's and?
Yes. Because again, I keep going back to, I think what he's talking about, maybe we keep going back to why did they cut away from when Nala Se was telling Rampart what necromancer was? That was the perfect spot to tell the audience, to let the audience in on the secret. Mm-hmm. They didn't tell us. So, also on the commentary, here's a comment that says, in the remarks to the Jedi Order being flawed, you got to remember it did work for over 1,000 years. And yeah, they did become dogmatic and pig-headed and always take time to act, but it's kind of a parallel to the fall of the Roman Empire, where they became complacent as well.
Oh.
Not bad.
That's actually a really good comparison.
Yeah, it is. It is very much so. Thanks for that.
And then the burning of the Jedi Temple could be paralleled with the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
Huh.
Didn't think about that either.
Huh.
Okay, so yesterday I dropped an episode Tuesday I dropped an episode of Dark Knowledge with Master Ku. We did a little Dark Knowledge on Acolytes. And see, Thrawn mentioned on there, he said, great discussion. Love these Dark Knowledge episodes and taking a deep dive into the lore. This is a great thing with these Acolyte. This is the great thing with these Acolyte series. It's a time period we haven't really seen much before, and we know so little about, and it's so exciting that what they do with the Sith and the Acolyte in the show will be interesting, because I know on Phantom Menace they say Sith hadn't been around for 1,000 years. So don't know if they will find a clever way to find it fit with canon, or they will just ignore it. Would love to see Plagueis brought into canon, but do wonder if they will completely change him or change certain things like they did with Thrawn from Legends to canon. And then lastly, yes, you need to read Plagueis. I'm not a big Legends reader, but this one is so worth it. Really clever how it leads to Phantom Menace. Yeah, no, I think that's what we talked about a little bit on that episode, was the fact that this could be a Plagueis origin story on this.
Could be.
And then lastly, Darth S&M on that Dark Knowledge episode said, saw episode 1 yesterday, the Acolyte special look. The Acolyte special look was sweet. The show's going to be so good. I love the bits of High Republic in it. Looking forward to seeing a few characters I've been reading about. Dark Side gets both days, 5th and 6th, because I don't know if you realize that, but it looks like Lucasfilm claimed Revenge of the 6th.
Yep.
When all of us fans have always said Revenge of the 5th.
It's Revenge of the 6th. That's what I've always heard of too. It's Revenge of the 6th.
See, it wasn't like that when when Star Wars Day was first kind of becoming May the 4th and things like that. It was always Revenge of the 5th.
Okay.
But it was never that was before Lucasfilm even kind of recognized Star Wars Day. It was more of a fan thing. But now it is kind of official. It's May the 4th, Revenge of the 6th. So I'm fine with that. Whatever. And then he says, yes, read Plagueless. It's so good. But Rise of the Red Blade first.
Thank you.
I know. I will get to it. Thanks, everybody, for the comments. Keep them coming. We love hearing what you all think and say. And yeah, there's just a lot of Star Wars stuff to talk about right now. So, Hannah, thanks for hanging.
Dave, thank you for hanging.
I know you're tired. You got long. You've had some long days.
It's fine. Whatever. So have you. Let's be honest. So have you. So
yeah, I'm a night owl though. So although
it's
this week has been
my bedtime, you youngin'.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No. All right. Thanks again for everybody, especially our patrons. As always, go to patreon.com/InsideTheForce if you're interested in getting some extra content there. We are going to be doing, we've got to talk about when we're going to be doing Solo, our next commentary.
I got a proposal on that.
Yeah, okay. We'll let everybody know the date on that. Again, we'll let everybody on Patreon know so they can join if they can. And then we'll put the episode out sometime this month. Okay, other than that, go check out all this content. And we will be back next week gearing up for the Acolyte coming very, very soon. So take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.